What's up? How's it going, everybody? That works. Fantastic. Hey, y'all. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Whew. I am exhausted, but it was a great weekend. Lots to talk about today, by the way. So much happened on GH this week. We had a couple of kidnappings. We had a murder attempt. We had, we've had a lot of interesting things. We had some mental health battles going on. Poor Adam. But yeah, lots to discuss. Hope everyone's keeping warm. It's starting to get a little bit warmer now for Edmonton. It's like minus 13. But considering we got to like minus 50 the other week, I think that's pretty good. Hey, Kyrie's. Said Heather's gonna try to kill either Spencer, Nikolas, or Trina, or all three of them. I hope not, honestly. I mean, she might go after Nikolas and Spencer, but... You gotta remember that Heather told Esme to just cut ties with them and start a new life. But I hope all of you are doing well. Like I said, it was a bit of a hectic weekend for me, but still fun. Hey, Angel. 31 degrees. That's in Fahrenheit, right? Oh, man. But yeah, Friday and Saturday were officially the days that it was announced that I'm doing Highlight Festival in my city, which is crazy, and I'm excited and like just ready for it. Just ready for it. I'm practicing at home every chance I get. We're gonna get into a jam space soon as well. Hey Nathan, yeah, it was pretty interesting on GH this week. You said I wish... Hey Kaiwan, you said I wish whatever is connected to Jason is connected to the web? Whose cousins? Sorry? Or are you talking about Heather Weber? I don't even know how to convert Fahrenheit, Angel. That shit confuses me. I guess that's the downside of being Canadian. But what's up, everyone? Welcome to General Hospital MV, my GH after show. Lots of people here already, so we might as well get into it. If y'all are ready, I'm ready. How Carly changed her clothes so quickly Friday. I know, right? Carly looking like a Disney supervillain at the end of Friday's episode. We'll talk about that for sure. But yeah, welcome everybody. As you can tell, there's lots to discuss. Hey Sandy. And we'll jump right into the good stuff. I'm down to get to the nitty gritty. We can talk about Nikolas and Ace first, get into the Carly stuff right after that. Or Nina stuff, I should say. Kyrie said, I feel robbed that we haven't gotten Dr. Ovis versus Heather. That would be fun to watch. That walk-in was everything. Yeah, we'll talk about all of it. So let's jump into it, guys. You guys are obviously ready, and I'm ready to go too. Last week the show ended with Nikolas and Spencer coming face to face for the first time in nearly a year, and I was ready for the explosive confrontation and verbal beatdown Spencer I thought was going to give Nikolas for abandoning his newborn son and himself once again. But in a shocking turn of events, Spencer apologized to his dad. You see, Spencer harbored a lot of guilt over being easily manipulated by Esme, who was sent to him by Ryan Chamberlain as a revenge plot to win Ava back and steal her away from Nikolas. Spencer's been feeling guilty about that. Nikolas owned up to his misgivings as well, sleeping with Esme and abandoning his sons. Both of them. He even talked about how when he realized that Spencer was his son and not Jax's, he planned on being the best father and failed time and time again. For a split second, I was like, maybe there's a chance Nikolas will redeem himself after all. And then he lowers the boom and asks Spencer to go on the run with him and Ace. So that was kind of annoying. What are y'all saying? 31 Fahrenheit equals minus 0.5 degrees Celsius. Okay. That was below zero for the past 2. It's been below zero for the whole month of January for me, and also like a bit of the end of December. But anyway, in regards to Nikolas asking Spencer to leave Port Charles with him and Ace, my first thought was, oh, this is how Nikolas Chavis is going to leave the show. I didn't like it. To me, if Spencer left with Nikolas, it would be out of character, which is something I've learned to expect from time to time under this regime and a few others over the last few years. But to my surprise, Spencer turned him down because he has a life with Trina now, and he said he wouldn't abandon her, so yay for sticking to continuity. However, he does allow Nikolas to take Ace, because he felt Ace would be safer with Nikolas rather than Esme, especially now that Spencer suspects Esme's got her memories back. Now, at this time, hey Brooklyn, how are you? Now at this time, Esme was in court for breaking into Windermere, but Martin managed to strike a guilty plea deal that would involve no jail time and 6 months probation with community service. After the hearing was over, Trina and Esme had a conversation because Trina was there, and Trina told her about moving to Paris for a semester with Spencer. And Esme couldn't hide her loathing of that, asking, but what about me? And Trina was like, what about you, Esme? I love when the sassiness comes out of Trina. It's so good. I loved it. That heart-to-heart was needed between Spencer and Nikolas. Yeah, it kind of was, wasn't it? Been outside all winter. Oof. Back to work on Tuesday. I mean, I work inside, but having to go outside to get inside is not fun. But we get, I think we finally get 0 and above at the end of next week. Or at the end of this week, sorry. So that's exciting. But anyway, in all honesty, I'm pretty bitter that they've gone this route of Esme not being able to shake her obsession with Spencer. But at the same time, I can't really fault the writers for having Esme be exactly like her mom. I mean, that woman, Heather Weber, she was obsessed with Luke for years, y'all. And she has a tendency to be overly obsessed with the people that she cares about, even slightly. So like mother, like daughter, I guess. But I just wanted like a morally gray Esme. That's all. Anyway, by the time Esme got back to Laura's apartment to get Ace, Nikolas and Ace were already gone. And after trying to hide it for a few minutes, Spencer admits that Nikolas took Ace and that he felt Ace would be safer away from her now that she's got her memories back. Esme she realizes that Spencer gave Ace to Nikolas, and she threatens to call the police, basically. But he says if she does, he'll go right to the police himself and get the charges against her reinstated and tell them that she has her memories back. Esme shuts her mouth and she leaves and makes a beeline to Cyrus Renault, of all people, in his room at GH, of course, he's still there. and she asks him to use his resources to track Nikolas down. Of course, he questions why she doesn't just go to the police, and she sort of tiptoes around the truth a little bit. But then the next day, Cyrus calls both Laura and Spencer to his room and tells them that Esme came to visit and let Spencer explain why. And Laura was very angry at Spencer, of course. She wasn't thrilled that he gave Ace to his father over a suspicion, even though we, the audience, know that it's true. And of course, I'm eye-rolling that Laura is so naive when it comes to Esme still. Like, I try to give her the benefit of the doubt sometimes because, she doesn't know Esme. She didn't know the old Esme as well as Spencer does, so she wouldn't be able to pick up on it as easily. But at the same time, it's just, I hate what they're doing to Laura with the storyline. Hey, Jacarius. Hey, DG. What are y'all saying? The crazy is genetic. You said you hope something happens to Spencer so he can come back for another couple of years because he's going to be on that Netflix show. And what makes it crazier is that even Susan Moore was obsessed with somebody, so I guess it runs into the family. Oh dear. Crazy is genetic. Angel said, didn't Nikolas kidnap Ace and Spencer helped? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, Spencer gave Nikolas Ace. And that's really what she was gonna tell the police. That, Spencer helped Nikolas kidnap the baby. But, he blackmailed her by saying, I'll go to the police with your stuff. But yeah, the thing, anyway, in regards to Laura, she did point out that he handed over his baby brother to a man that is not only a complete stranger to Ace, because let's be real, he's not been involved since the baby was born, but Nikolas is also being, he's on the run, and he's being hunted down by the police, the FBI, law enforcement, so arguably Ace is in far more danger with Nikolas than he would ever be with Esme. Esme also went to Ava for help, by the way, explaining the situation, and Ava, who didn't know that Nikolas would have taken Ace, did admit to Esme that he actually did come and visit her while he was in town. But Ava points out that the Cassadines are virtually impossible to track down, and points out how Laura literally spent months trying to find Nikolas and didn't. So she's basically like, you have no chance of finding this man, no matter who you're connected to. And then Esme wails and cries, and she's like, oh, nobody will help me. I have nobody in this world. And Ava actually seemed to feel a little bit bad for her in that moment. Despite how much she loathes her. What else are you saying? Laura's making me mad. Spencer is an arrogant prick, and I can't wait until Esme gets her revenge on him. He is complicit with the kidnapping. Yeah, he is. It's true. Though this storyline is full of plot holes, I like the turn because it's giving Avery Pull another chance to add more layers to Esme. She's doing a bang-up job. Yeah, the one thing I will say actually is that I think that Nikolas and Avery did such a fantastic job in the scenes where she is crying about Ace and the kidnapping and just her emotions and Spencer's coldness. Like, one thing that, no matter what you think about Spencer and Esme as characters, those two are absolutely masterful at their craft. So I'm just honored that we get to see these two get to work together for as long as we can with Nikolas anyway. I mean, it's a matter of time. The promos have begun for the monster show that he's in. But I'll enjoy whatever they come up with in the meantime. Cyrus was instigating. He sure was. Esme sucks at faking it. She really does. She honestly really does. She cannot hold her anger well at all when it comes to the people that she doesn't like. Nor can she hold in her obsession. Why does Cyrus care about Esme in the first place? He doesn't, but Ace is technically his nephew. I mean, Spencer is his nephew, and Ace is his great-nephew. Ace is his family. else are y'all saying? I'm glad they're writing Nick into a corner this way because I don't want Adam Huss full-time as Nick. I want him to come and go, he's a good actor, but he just doesn't make the character for me. That's fair. Yeah, I think Adam Huss is a good actor too, and I think he's doing a great job, but yeah, he doesn't really scream Nikolas to me. Like, the selfish guy in me knows that Adam Huss, the actor that plays him, is gay, and I want him to be, like, a love interest for, like, Brad or Felix, or bring Lucas back and get them together. Ava is going to get in trouble if Esme tells Laura Nikolas visited Ava. Well, you know, she'll be annoyed, but Spencer didn't tell her either, so slightly less of a betrayal. And she's already mad at Ava for, like, pressing charges against Esme in the first place. Spencer and Ace are both, yeah, Cyrus is a great nephew. Yeah, great nephews. The second guy that played Nikolas is doing what? Yeah, Adam Huss is gay in real life. If you check out his Instagram, like, he has pictures with his partner and everything. They did, like, cute Christmassy photos together and all that good stuff. Yes, Chikarius, two things can be true. You can think your favorite character, or, you know, a character that you like is an arrogant prick and still enjoy them. Oh, man. But anyway, where was I? Let me just, I've lost place in my notes too. Oh, I like this storyline because it gives Esme a chance once again to play the victim, and she will have an axe to grind. What happened to Terry and Yuri? Who knows? Terry's barely on, and Yuri, he's working at the queues again for some reason. Anyway, back to Spencer for a second, and then we'll move on. I have a feeling that Spencer is going to take a lot of heat from the people he cares about in the next little while. Maybe even more heat than Michael will catch from his family for his misgivings. So let's talk about that, because I got some stuff to say. Honestly, the characters as real people. Yeah, exactly. They're allowed to be messy. They're fictional characters, and it makes certain characters fun to watch. Sorry, my mouth is really dry. That said, I don't want every character to be dysfunctionally messy all the time. We need some normal characters. As long as I don't go out to characters I like at school. Alright, let's move on. So, we're going to talk about the Michael and Carly and Drew and Nina, all that stuff. Nina was at the hospital, and Carly and Drew happened to be as well. We'll talk about why a little bit later. But when Nina had run into Willow, she basically begged her for, like, at least a conversation. And I'm rolling my eyes because Sasha just the other week was like, yo, keep your distance and let Willow come to you. And of course, Nina, being Nina, can't bother to follow instructions well. And she's screwing herself again. Now, Carly and Drew happened upon their conversation, and Carly got into protective mode with Willow and told Nina to back off. And Nina couldn't even let her disdain for Carly stay hidden, because instead of doing the gracious thing and backing off, she decides to gleefully bring up the fact that Michael knew the truth, which Carly was still unaware of at the time, and naturally Carly accuses Nina of lying. Willow didn't tell Carly it was true, which I found interesting. Like, I think, like, because it kind of reels in the point that she hates Nina that much that she's not going to defend her. So, you know, with that, she and Drew go to the Quartermain mansion to seek out answers from Michael themselves. And they happen to walk in on Tracy and Ned discussing Michael's misgivings to him. Tracy was classic Quartermain. She was proud of Michael for his allowing of his inner Quartermain to come out against Nina. But make no mistake, as proud as she is, she wants her son to come out on top still and urges him to try and take ELQ back now that Michael's in a mess of his own making and Drew will be just as distracted. Drew is livid at Michael, and he yelled at him and stormed off, and he basically looks at Carly and is like, "You're coming," and like almost like demanding her to walk out with him. And Carly's like, "No, I need to talk to my son alone." It's crazy how Drew's taking this turn. I know he went to jail and he got beat the crap out of, but for him to be just, I don't know, this unhinged right now, something more has to be going on. What are y'all saying though? Michael's emotional cripple like Carly. Even with the pretty good story, Chad Duell's acting still leaves me cold. Yeah, he will never be Drew Garrett to me either, DG. Chad, I even think Kate McMullen is giving better performances than Chad. Yeah. Jane Elliott was obviously bored in retirement. She just tears up every scene she does. Yeah, Jane is so good at her craft, and she is good at getting nothing, but still making it hella entertaining. So I appreciate her, because she's when she and Ned were in the kitchen, she's just eating carrots, just sassily and gloating about, yeah, I'm proud of Michael, but we can use this to our advantage. She's just very fun to watch. Ooh, we're going to talk about Drew's Revenge soon. We'll finish off the Michael and Carly stuff, and then we'll get into Drew's Revenge. So anyway, Carly was definitely upset at Michael and points out that it was nearly a year ago that Michael was accusing Carly of playing God with people's lives due to keeping Nina being her mama's secret. And when he tries to say that he shouldn't have, Carly's like, "No, don't do that," because it happened to be true and it caused a lot of damage, just like this situation. But she ultimately gives him a slap on the wrist because he's his mother's son. Because of course she does. I just would have wished that Carly stayed mad at him for a minute. And she goes this, "I'll never not forgive you," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, please, Carly, be mad at him. I'm glad Willow isn't making it as easy for Michael, though. I appreciate that. But I also think that eventually down the line she'll forgive him, which is sad. I just want Michael to just be bitter and alone. I dislike Michael that much. I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, I think that Willow will forgive Michael. Nina, on the other hand, I'm not so sure. I really don't think so at this point. The conversation that those two had at the hospital after Carly had left was not pretty. And Nina just looked like a desperate woman who couldn't handle the reality of what she did, because she kept giving reasons to justify her behavior and placing blame on Carly for keeping Nell a secret from her and keeping Willow's paternity a secret from her, and of course Drew and Carly blaming them for committing insider trading. And actually, one thing I forgot to bring up that I loved when Carly and Drew were still at the hospital is that Nina tried to be like, "You guys committed a crime." And then Carly clapped back with, "You're literally married to Sonny Corinthos. Sit down." I'm glad, because, we, the audience, have been saying that, Oh, Lord. But yeah, anyway, Willow in her conversation with Nina really read her for filth, pointing out that she's so desperately trying to convince herself that what she did was for noble reasons instead of her jealousy and insecurities about Carly, and, being the drive for her doing what she did. That, her jealousy and insecurity being the drive to what she did to Carly, turning her in. Willow made it clear that she wants nothing to do with her ever again and left. So they seem donezo. I know Sasha had hope that Willow would forgive her, but I don't know. There's a lot going on right now. Jane is well into her 70s. But she is every bit as sharp as she was 40 years ago. Absolutely. When she first started, she puts the Tracy character on like a comfortable pair of shoes and just takes off. It's true. I still would like Willow to dump Michael and be with TJ. I wouldn't hate Willow and TJ, but I don't know. I'd have to see them more romantic with each other before I kind of ship that fully, you know? Actually, before we get into Drew's revenge stuff, we got to talk about Nina's deal with Cyrus since she was at the hospital. We'll get that out of the way. So, this is why Nina was at the hospital. Nina went to make a deal with Cyrus in order to get him to drop the charges against Sunny. The deal being that he gets his own religious TV show so he can preach his BS to the masses on television. Honestly, I didn't have Cyrus becoming a television evangelist on my Port Charles bingo card. But shady people becoming television evangelists and using religion they don't follow themselves to control and manipulate people to make themselves rich is not a surprising thing in America these days. Just saying. But Sunny also happened to be at GH2 because he was trying to call off the hit against Cyrus that he put on. And he came in just as Dex was going to inject him with something. But Cyrus had actually caught Dex. And correct me if I'm wrong, but does Cyrus not know Dex at all? Like, I know he's been in prison for a while, but surely he's got eyes and ears on Port Charles, you know what I mean? So is Jane Elliott out of retirement because she is on longer than I thought? She's longer than I thought as well, but I wouldn't doubt it. DG said, I'm sorry, but the writing for Nina just sucks, and Cynthia Witros is failing at making Nina sympathetic. Avery Poole does so much better with Esme, but then again, Esme has a better backstory. This is true. 1.8 billion you can make on being a TV melody. TV evangelist, you mean? Yeah, it's crazy. Cyrus was basically doing the same thing in prison, making the spirit of Jim Jones feel at home. Oh my gosh. Oh, you don't think he knew Dex? I guess not. I'm so sick to death of Cyrus and his false conversion. That was so stupid. No way in hell would Cyrus not know Dex works with Sunny. The whole debacle with Dex trying to kill Cyrus was totally stupid. Dex was the worst hitman ever. Yeah, it's true. Jason might show him a thing or two when he gets back. I think it's going to come down to Jason not liking Dex, though. And being sus of why he's working with Sunny. Doesn't Cyrus know Dex is Sunny's worker? Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it does seem far-fetched, but at the same time, he's been in jail for quite some time, Cyrus, so I don't know. I guess we'll just go with it for now. Anyway, so by the time Sunny had gotten into Cyrus's room, Nina had already spoken to Cyrus at the point, and he told Sunny that he was dropping the charges out of the goodness of his heart, of course. But Dex had seen Nina in there and pointed it out to Sunny, so Sunny confronts Nina when he sees her and tells her to back off and that he doesn't want her anywhere near himself ever again. So Sunny seems done with Nina as well, despite still being married to her. So I think they're actually just going to full force put her in, town pariah mode. Dex gets clocked for not having a badge. Yeah. Alright, now let's get into Drew's revenge, though, because this was fun. This was fun to watch. As bad as it's going to end up, probably, it was fun to watch. So, Drew is out for blood. Like I mentioned, he was very pissed at Michael for keeping what Nina did a secret. And if he's that mad at Michael, imagine how mad he is at Nina. And we don't have to, because we see in this week how mad he is at Nina. Drew and Anna were having drinks at Charlie's and sharing their woes while Carly was working things out with Michael. And when Carly catches up to him, he proclaims that he wants Nina to pay now. And he had the perfect way to do it. And so the next day, Nina shows up at Crimson to people removing all of her stuff from her office. Drew was tossing her out, and they face off for a bit, but long story short, Drew makes it seem like he doesn't care about the staff that worked underneath her and gives her an ultimatum of resigning on her own or screwing over the entire staff by making him fire her. And she agrees to sign it, and he makes it known after it's signed that he had no intention of letting the staff get screwed. And to pour more salt on the wounds, it turns out that he instated Carly as the new chief and editor of Crimson Magazine, and she strut in there in like this black, like sort of seductress suit with a big old smirk on her face. And like, I honestly, it was a great scene. I loved it, and I have to admit, like, I loved how evil she looked, and it's very an eye for an eye, this story. Nina stole everything from Carly, so allow Carly to steal the one thing that Nina had left away from her in return. Like, it's perfect. And you know, I'm team neither one of them. Like, I think they're both kind of vile, but you know, finally Carly gets a bit of revenge of her own. What are y'all saying? Drew needs to take a chill pill. Drew's revenge was totally awesome. I actually cheered when Carly walked in with that Cheshire Cat grin on her face. Laura Wright's expression was just everything. I actually cheered. Loved that scene in Nina's facial expressions. Laura Wright's hairstyle was also flawless in that scene. She looked gorgeous. Yeah, they made Carly look good for that scene, and it's a good thing that they did. I really enjoyed it. By the way, idea for Wednesday. I don't even know how this popped up on my feed. We are going to be reacting to a classic scene that is not General Hospital, but it is kind of related, and it's kind of related to Laura Wright and Cynthia Watros, because apparently these two ladies have been going neck to neck since the 90s on Guiding Light, and I found a great scene to throw back to watch on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. I know we're talking about Wednesday's live stream early, but might as well, because it has to do with Carly and Nina. It's perfect. Yeah, she looked gorgeous. I agree. I don't like Carly or Nina, but that scene was incredible. Yeah, it was. When did Carly have time to change from a blue blazer to that leather? Well, considering she traveled from Amsterdam to Toronto in like 2 minutes, Carly's got superpowers that we're not aware of, clearly. So, yeah, no. Well, we don't know how much time passed between that two. Now, before Carly got there, she was at Bobby's, newly named Bobby's, over Kelly's, and talking to Sam about Drew's mental state. And basically, they're just hoping that he works it out for himself, but the guy ain't even seeing a shrink or nothing. So in the meantime, he's going unchecked when there's something clearly wrong with him. Not that his anger at Nina isn't justified, you guys. It clearly, like, obviously it is. But when you're slipping up like this and doing these impulsive things, you need to help. You need to get help to manage that anger, dude. And so one thing I want to say with Drew's Revenge is, as juicy as it was and as fun as it was to watch, I think that this is ultimately going to bite Drew in the ass, because Drew got her to resign under false pretenses and only threatened to fire her, not for how she ran the magazine, but because of what she did to him personally. And even though there was a business aspect in what she had done to him, since he was technically her boss, and she turned him and Carly in for insider trading with that company as well as ELQ, I think the bottom line is he did do something illegal. Even though that wasn't her reason for turning him in, he did something illegal and she spoke up about it. So I think that there are some legal consequences for Drew. If Nina decides to sue him for like a wrong, making her resign under false pretenses by threatening her staff, and B, threatening to fire her for nothing that she did at work. There's if Nina decides to clap back at Drew I think he's going to get screwed by this. I really do. DG said, I knew Cynthia played Annie on Guiding Light, but I didn't know that Laura Wright's character was one of her victims. I knew that Annie was always out to get Reva. You must show the scenes. Yeah, we're definitely... Come on Wednesday, DG. We're going to watch those scenes. I know, I've already watched them. I watched them in full because I enjoyed it that much. First of all, Laura Wright and Cynthia Waitrose have aged pretty well. Because this scene was, I think, from like 1997 or something like that. And they faced off and were clapping back, and it felt like a Carly versus Nina fight, which was like kind of cool to watch, honestly. So that's what we're gonna do on Wednesday. I'm stoked for it. Oh, you think Nina's gonna run ELQ? Really? Interesting. Carly was never... Oh, hold on. I missed something you said, Angel. Didn't Carly help run the original Deception? Carly worked at Deception, yeah. Yeah, she wasn't involved when it was created. She just worked at Deception at one point. And I think Lucy and her butted heads a bit. I only remember bits and pieces of that storyline, but she wasn't involved with the creation of it. She just worked there in its last incarnation. And I think now Deception is not even what it was back in the 90s. Now it's more of a cosmetic, or what is it, like a cosmetic company? I don't think that's what Deception was back then, but I could be wrong, of course. Laura Wright definitely has aged well. Cynthia was doing well, but she started to have surgery. Yeah, that much is noticeable, but at the same time, she doesn't look too different. Drew is stupid. He is always messing things up. Maxie should get Crimson. Oh, I'd be down for Maxie to get Crimson. I really would be. I think that Crimson belonged to her, because I know Nina talked, like, when she was defending herself to Drew and saying, I made this magazine. I'm like, no, you didn't. Maxie made it for you. Maxie was doing everything in her power to have Crimson running like a book, and you were taking notes. And yes, Nina's been on her own with Crimson for quite some time, but at the same time, Maxie knew Crimson like the back of her hand, and that company really should have been hers. It really should have been hers. And I think if Brooklyn's plan to get Maxie to own Deception goes under, I think that Maxie needs to own Crimson and become like this fashionista. You know, I want to see Maxie in like great clothes again, looking fashionable and sassy and being like a girl boss. Like, I just want her to see her run things like she should have all those years ago. Yes, I agree, Angel. She should have. Wait, Laura Wright was on Lost? I thought Cynthia was. For a while, her face never moved, but now they've smoothed it out. Yeah. It's sad how plastic surgery has gone rampant in you know, in Hollywood. Because all these ladies that have got it done looked so much better without it, which is the unfortunate thing. In my fan fiction, Maxie gets Crimson because I killed off Kate Howard immediately. Okay, you did mean Cynthia on Lost. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I knew Cynthia was. I didn't know Laura was. Okay. Kate Connie made Crimson so Nina can have a job to apply for. True. All right. Let's move on. Yeah, Kelly Monaco too. Yeah, it is. It really is the industry, DG. It's the sad part is when actresses start to age, they become less, you know, wanted, which is sad because, you know, we need characters of all ages on not just soaps, but everywhere. Laura Wright was impassioned. That is a soap I could never get down with. Alright, let's move on though. Let's talk about Adam. Things certainly took a dark turn this week. Jocelyn had found Adam drinking alone, strumming his guitar on a park bench. This was after Jocelyn had tried to get him help at the campus in the week prior, which Adam had not taken kindly to. It turned out Adam had taken a bunch of pills while drinking vodka, and he collapsed. Jocelyn called an ambulance and had found the empty pack of pills in his pocket, or they fell out of his pocket or something, and realized that he had tried to kill himself. They had to pump his stomach at GH, and because his parents were his emergency contact, they had no choice but to call them, even though Jocelyn had told his doctors that they were the reason he tried to kill himself. Adam wakes up the next day, and he was not thrilled that they were contacted, but Portia said that because he's 18, all the details don't have to be shared, but it is their protocol to call them, as it's their protocol to have him get checked out by a shrink to make sure he's not a danger to himself or others before they let him go. And we get to actually meet Adam's dad. He eventually shows up to the hospital, and he's a real prick. And Jocelyn couldn't help but confront him and say that Adam tried to kill himself because of him, and his father flipped out on her and threatened to sue the hospital if they allowed her to stay, and if she is allowed anywhere near Adam as well. Adam's going to be pissed at Jocelyn for spilling that information, because Portia basically promised that she wouldn't spill the details, but Jocelyn spilled the details for her. So it's an unfortunate turn of events. It's just sad to watch. What are y'all saying though? Tired of Adam. Adam's sad as something else. Adam's storyline is to make sure that Jocelyn becomes a psychiatrist or psychologist. Maybe. TG, you said, I was hoping Adam's dad would be played by a soap vet, but the actor they did do well in the scenes. The Joss recast was a very good stand-in to him, or very good in standing up to him. I think the story will have abuse in it. Oh, definitely. But yeah, he did a decent job as Adam's dad, whoever he was, but it felt very like D-list character that we're never gonna see more than this one time, maybe twice. It'll just be like a brief guest role. But yeah, anyway, now that Portia is not responsible for spilling the beans about Adam's condition, she can probably have a real conversation to Adam's father about the state that Adam is in. Adam's dad is clearly the kind of prick that won't take responsibility for the state his son's in. Sadly, parents like that who don't have it in themselves to own their faults are painfully common. And even this specific situation is very common as well. You know, in a university situation, parents who want their kids to follow in their own footsteps and blow up at them when they do anything but exceed their expectations without a care to what their kid may want for themselves. It's sad to see. Like, it sucks. I don't like the nepotism angle of Maurice Bernard's son getting a front burner story, but Josh is doing a decent job. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, and Maurice has actually spoken out about people that say that, but like, it just happens to be true. There's a good chance if no one knew that that kid was Maurice's son and he auditioned or got offered a role without Maurice's say so, like, would he have gotten it? Not necessarily, but he is doing a great job with what he's being given. So I can't be mad at that. He's doing a great job at the role that he's been given. The thing is with D-list unknown actors is they don't cost much, so we might see Adam and his dad interact more often. But I don't think Adam's parents live in town, so I don't think that we will see him or see them that much, unless they decide to move them to Port Charles. but that if we meet Adam's mom, his dad smacks her around. Yeah, this story is giving Kiefer Bauer's parent vibes. And we know how that turned out. But anyway, going back on Adam and his parents, emotionally abusive parents are the worst. And honestly, in my opinion, it is better to cut ties with parents like that than to stick around, especially if it's brought you to the brink of suicide. I always roll my eyes when I hear people say, you only have one dad, you only have one mom. But if your mom and dad are terrible people, pardon my French, but fuck them. Fuck them. Get out of there and create the family you deserve. Live your life for yourself, especially once you are an adult. As far as I'm concerned, once you're legally an adult, your parents lose the right to dictate what you do with your life. And that can apply to a lot of things. We've had similar conversations about Blaze, for example, when it comes to her sexuality. What's happening to Adam isn't that much different. They're judging him for not being who they want him to be, and in a much more brutal way, in my opinion. So it's the same shit, just a different scenario. Anyway, just to wrap things up here, the reason Carly was at the hospital was to comfort Joss, because Willow had called her to give her the heads up of the situation when Adam was first brought in. And a day had passed. Like, Jocelyn stayed overnight to be near him. Maury said Frank wouldn't have kept Joshua on if Joshua was horrible. Yeah, that's the thing. He got in the door, but Josh is a good actor, so I can't be too mad. And Josh was on State of Mind last weekend, and Maurice Bernard admitted that Frank did hire him, at least partially because he was Mo's son, but he also thought he gave a good audition. Sandy, you said that happened to me. My mother would only pay for college fees if I majored in what she wanted. See, that's just, parents like that are the worst. The actor who played Kiefer's dad was big on Guiding Light. Yeah, I knew that. It's been so long since we've seen him, but I knew at the time that he was an actor that was known in the soap world. Man. Adam's mother is probably an enabler. Yeah, probably. But she could be just as vile. We don't know. I guess we'd have to look into it more. Do I want them to look into... Do I want more info on his parents? I don't necessarily need it. I mean, they had to obviously bring at least one of his parents in for the story because we know that they are the reason that he's in the state of mind that he's in. But I think they're going to have a very minimal role in what we see happen from this point on. Unless they force him to move back. Parents can be unreasonable and problematic, but the emotional tie between parent and child is not easy to break. I know several people estranged from their parents, but when those parents die, the kids are still torn up. Well, yeah, of course. The biological and emotional bond between parents and kids is hard to break, and breaking it has consequences even when it's necessary because of dysfunction. Yeah, but at the same time, parents that are emotionally and maybe physically abusive to their kids, they don't deserve to have their kids in their lives. And yeah, if their kids feel sad once those parents die, that just means that they're compassionate people. But I can tell you that those kids, while they'll be sad about it, will know they were an awful parent. It's unfortunate that they couldn't change their ways and be the parent that they deserve to have. Because I've had friends in that same situation where, you know, they had an emotionally abusive mother that didn't accept them for who they were, and she died. And that was his genuine reaction. Just, it's sad that she is gone, but I never had a mother. I wish that I did, and it's unfortunate that she'll never be able to grow as a person. That was kind of the gist of that particular situation. And, you know, for me, I my dad's never been in my life. I haven't seen the man since I was 3. I don't want to say I'm extremely bitter about it because I don't have really memories of him being my dad, and we spent many years in touch like online and stuff, but for him I'm very much like his oldest son, but it's also the son that he's probably not told any of his family and friends about, because I'm just, he lives in Japan and he has a wife and 3 kids over there, and so I'm sure the rest of his kids that aren't with them are probably mentioned very little, if at all. But to that end, my point for mentioning that is that I don't think I'd be that broken up if my dad passes away, and I'm not even bitter. I don't have ill will against him. I might be slightly hurt that he didn't want to build much of a relationship with me, but it's not like I wish him ill and I wish him death. I have no connection because I really don't know him. That said, but in my life, I'm a singer and my dad is a singer, so there is that connection there, but I'm not broken up about it. Like, I wouldn't be broken up about it if he passed away. I'd be like, that sucks for the rest of my siblings because I care about them. Emotional ties are still there. You can't cut off nature, blood and emotion. That's easier said than done, and it still has consequences. Depends. It really depends, DG. It's not a one size fit all situation. There are parents who die and the kids are like, thank God. That's just the reality. To that end, look at the story that Nikolas Chavez is in. Those kids murdered their parents without even an inkling of remorse. So you just never know. Everyone's a little bit different. I don't know. I don't see much of myself in my father. We have like the same resting bitch face, and that's about it. When we're zoning out, we have the same face. But I don't know. All right. Sorry, y'all. Let's move on. Because we got a couple more things to talk about. Let's quickly check in with Elizabeth and Finn. I know it's not everyone's favorite story, but there's not much to say about it to begin with, so we can kind of zoom past it. They were actually involved with Adam's situation for a bit. Finn had to make a quick decision on pumping his stomach without the chief of staff's consent because it was literally a matter of life and death, and there was they were running against the clock, and it would have surely resulted in death if Finn hadn't made a quick decision. I don't think it's really going to affect Finn's situation at all. At least I hope it doesn't. But the bulk of their scenes were actually about meeting with the doctor that dealt with the deceased patient, Mr. Muldoon, in Beatrice Corners, whose family is suing him in the hospital. The doctor had agreed to the meeting, not knowing it was about Muldoon, and was ready to up and leave when she discovered it was, but Elizabeth convinced her to stay, with the 3 of them being very careful on how they spoke about him with each other, only speaking in hypotheticals. But long story short, it seems like the doctor had suggested to Muldoon to see an oncologist because she had screened him for cancer. But for now, there's no telling if he had actually visited the oncologist, and if he did, why didn't he bring it up to Finn, or even his family for that matter, because clearly they wouldn't know, otherwise they wouldn't be suing. So that's the next step in Finn's situation. Track down the oncologist and seek out answers. You think the Mendes brothers had no remorse? I'd say you're wrong. Okay, but do we know what they were thinking, or is this just your theory? Because I personally know kids that have lost their parents and been like, they were garbage and like wall. So what might be true for you is not true for everyone. And like I said, I really don't think I will get hit hard if my father were to die. And that's me, like, I don't wish him ill, and I don't have trauma about my father. I don't know. We had a pretty solid relationship for years. I just kind of like cut ties because I'm like, well, you're not really wanting to be in my life, so I don't really need you in mine. I've got my mom and my grandmother. We're good. Like, and that was kind of it. And again, my emotion would be like, if I'll feel bad for the rest of his kids because they're my brothers and sisters. And I do have like relationships, at least with the ones from New York. I don't really know the ones from Japan that well, but I'd feel just as bad for them because they grew up with him. But me, I have no emotional attachment. It's like anytime I've seen like a family member that has died that I don't know, it's like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss, and I feel nothing. So just kind of be the same with my dad. That's just what I mean. Just saw pictures of young Steve Burton with Long Beach blonde hair. Those pictures are everywhere though, Angel. That's nothing new. Alright, let's quickly talk about Christina and Blaze. It turns out that they haven't seen each other since that incident around Christmas where Blaze had let go of her hand when their friends came up to them. Mostly because Blaze was on tour, but I guess they've been even distanced on texting. And Blaze confronts her, and Christina tells her that was the reason for it, and it had hurt her, and she had asked for patience with her, but Christina wasn't so sure, and with the impending pregnancy upon her, and not knowing if it'll work out, thinks that it would be better to just end their almost relationship. Blaze leaves, but she comes back ready to fight for a relationship instead of ending things on what ifs, and Christina agrees to try. I'm glad that they didn't just abruptly end them. It's certainly a very unique relationship to hash out. A closeted musician and a woman about to be pregnant with her sister and TJ's baby. Not an even remotely conventional LGBTQ plus relationship story, at least not one you usually see on TV shows. So I appreciate the uniqueness. It's a little out there, but so is GH. Genetics is just DNA. I definitely have family members that we all have in common is DNA. That's it. Yeah, that's the reality. Like, some of us just don't know our parents because we have no emotional connection. I guess it is different. Like, if I had grown up with my father in any sort of way beyond, like, talking online here and there, maybe I would feel a bit more sad, but I don't know. Christina's going to be Blaze's little secret. Blaze's dirty little secret. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm interested to see where they go as a couple. It's going to be such a bizarre relationship to watch, but I'll be here for it. I'll give it a chance. Alright, finally, let's talk about Jordan. While Christina and Blaze were kind of hashing out their relationship, TJ was having dinner with his mom and discussing how she feels about Christina carrying their child, and while Jordan has her misgivings about it, she points out that it's not up to her one way or the other, regardless of how she feels, and she will love this baby no matter what. She also brings up to TJ that she's been investigating Curtis's shooter off the books with the mayor's, what do you call it? say so to do it or open, you know. She's letting her do it, is what I'm trying to get at. I can't figure out words right now, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, TJ tells her to be careful, and like 2 seconds later, 2 men grab her outside of the PC Grill, and they were in suits. So my guess is that they have ties to the WSB. Perhaps Pikeman does have a hand in the situation. I would love to hope so, because I loved the actor that played Brendan. He had a lot of good charisma. But at the same time, Brendan left so quickly and abruptly that I'm not 100% on it, but they could bring him back in for this. I think Christina's going to want to keep the child, and then it will turn into a mess. Christina has never been stable. She's the last person I'd pick to carry my child. No way. My money is the kidnapper's work for Pikeman. But Pikeman also was the head of the WSB. So it could be both. It could be both. But yeah. At least Jordan's getting some story. She probably won't appear on the show for weeks and no one's going to notice that she's gone. But I guess she was supposed to meet with Anna when Anna was at Charlie's having drinks with Drew. But I think it'll take a couple days for Anna to notice. But my hope is that it's Pikeman. Or, sorry, Brennan. Same thing. Same thing. For me, I always mix up like Pikeman and Brennan because Pikeman is a company and Brennan is the guy that owns it. And everyone just sort of calls him Pikeman, right? Molly needs to legally adopt the child or she will be the aunt and not Christina. That's true. I need to deal with that. I hope they haven't written off Brennan yet. It would be a waste. Yeah, absolutely it would. But then many times, that's what Valentini does when he juggles his budget money. I have to wonder, because while the story was planned out, the scab writers during the strike really had reign of that story. So maybe the way that they wrote it didn't exactly go how he would have wanted it. And maybe that's why they ended it abruptly when they came back. But again, I hope that they don't end it here with Brendan too, because he had a lot of chemistry with Laura, right? And I think that would have been a fun relationship to explore if things go sour with Drew. Although with Steve Burton coming back, hard to say. And maybe that's why they dropped him, because it felt like they were chem testing him with Carly, but then they find out that Jason's coming back, and well, we know what happens when Jason gets back. Or we can guess what's happening when Jason gets back, because they had a relationship as quickly as it was formed. And Britt's not here, and Sam is taken, so there's not really any other route for him to go beyond a love triangle between Drew, Carly, and Jason. They have Taggart as well. I mean, that would explain his absence. My guess is that he's drinking himself into a stupor outside of town. We don't need Brennan. We got Jason back. Yeah, but I don't necessarily want Jason with Carly. And I want other characters that can keep GH interesting. Not just, like I said, Jason for me has gotten pretty stale. I am happy that Steve Burton's returning. But unless they do something to, I don't know, to give his character new life that he hasn't had before, it's just going to feel like the status quo with GH. And GH needs more than its status quo. But that's all I have to say about GH this week. It was a great week. There was so much that happened, and I really enjoyed the majority of it. So I am looking forward to seeing whatever happens this upcoming week. Again, stay tuned this Wednesday. We are reacting to Guiding Light. I'm finally watching another soap that's not GH. Or like Port Charles or Night Shift. But yeah, it's still Laura Wright and Cynthia Watros, and I enjoyed the scenes, so I figured you guys might enjoy them too. So that's what we're gonna do on Wednesday. It'll be 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, just like this live stream is now. So keep staying used to this time frame. I'm probably not gonna get into the jam space until February for practicing with the band, so we're okay for now, at least for the next couple weeks. But I might be looking elsewhere to some place that might be more available. And in the meantime, we're all just kind of practicing separately in our homes, which is great. But we still need to come together as a band. I'm just really stoked to be a part of it. I don't know if you guys seen in the community tab the poster that I'm on, like the promo picture that they used for me playing there, and then just seeing my name among the other artists. Oh, I was in such a great mood that night, you guys. And hearing people cheer for me, which is great, because people do know me as a prominent figure in the music scene in sort of a promotion kind of way. And some of them are aware that I sing, but they probably had no idea, most of them, that I would be on this festival. So it was exciting to hear that reaction. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to watch, DG. Oh, thanks for the congrats, guys. But yeah, good night, y'all. I'll see you Wednesday. If you liked the live stream, give it a big old thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe if you want to. I'd really appreciate it. And I will catch you guys this Wednesday. No, I haven't. But the beauty of... oh, yeah, before I go. No, I haven't, DG. But the beauty of... music these days is that you don't need to have a record contract in order to become a musician and get yourself out there and play shows. I have had my song on the radio, yes. Alright, but good night, y'all. We'll talk about that more on Wednesday. I'm gonna, unwind and then get ready for bed. I'll catch you guys this Wednesday. Mwah! Have a good night.